Want some? Get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate. You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything. It's a pirate's life for me. Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirate. It is a first down. Pirate. Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it. I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there. You live with Omaha? I can promise you that. And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down of my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome into the Sports Objective TSO Sunday night. It's our Independence Day weekend special, and we've got a lot going on tonight and a lot of great guests too, as a matter of fact. Let's bring in, ladies and gentlemen, all the way. He's the man, Kyle from LaGrange Barber. How are you?
What's going on, Dave? Yeah, 4th of July weekend. Hope everybody had a good 4th. Unfortunate news about Chris Johnson back at the first of last week. So we thought we would kind of have an ALS awareness episode here. Got Dr. Audrey LeClair here, who is, of course, the daughter of the late Clayton LeClair, who, of course, unfortunately lost his battle to ALS. And so we have her on, and then later on the show we're going to be joined by former teammate of Chris Johnson and a running back roommate, Brandon Simmons, just to talk about Chris's relationship with him and what he was like as a teammate, et cetera.
All right, let's also bring in Johnny Robertson. Johnny Stats, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How y'all doing tonight? Yeah, like Kyle, I kind of had a cloud over my head all week just thinking about Chris, and I think it's a great idea to have this show to, bring awareness and clarity of what exactly he's dealing with right now.
Let's bring in our football coach for TSO. I'm talking about Stevie Fly. Commissioner Fly, how are you?
Doing good, guys. Beating this heat. Hopefully that heat wave is over. I hope. I know me and Kyle were talking about it the other night, how this heat dome, as they call it, I guess. But like everybody else, it's been a kind of a gloomy week after getting the news early Monday morning about CJ, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but that ice bucket challenge has caught fire again. A lot of former NFL players and current NFL players are doing it to raise awareness, which I think is great. I know I saw Dion did it today. Marshawn Lynch, a lot of other guys are doing it. So, hopefully it'll get this awareness out again. But just hate it for anybody, but hate it for CJ.
No doubt, and a really tough thing. Let's bring in now our friend of the show since the beginning. Hard to believe we've been doing this for over 8 years. Dr. Audrey LeClair, and great to have you back on the show, Audrey.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I hate that in some ways it's under these circumstances, and I hate that, this diagnosis is hitting so close to home and so close to this community again, but I appreciate you guys having me.
Audrey, if you will, before we, get into the conversation about ALS and Chris Johnson, and, just quickly, everybody should know who you are by now, but if you will, just quickly tell everybody, about your dad. All Pirates know who your dad is, but just remind them who you are. And tell them about you are indeed a doctor, a medical doctor at ECU Health. You just talk about that also.
Yeah. So my dad was Coach Keith LeClair. We moved back here in the 90s. We moved away in 2007 to be closer to family. It was easier on my mom, but he started battling ALS in 2001. Unfortunately and fortunately, he got to meet Jesus in 2006. So he did lose his battle, but he got the ultimate healing, and that truly is a blessing. And I am so grateful to be back here. I never thought in a million years that I would be back here as a physician, but I am a resident physician at ECU. And it is honestly a dream come true that I had when I started out on this journey. That man, it would be so great to come back and serve this community that gave so much to my family and I. So I'm grateful to be here.
Are you practicing emergency medicine? What are you doing at DCU Health?
I am. Yep. Emergency medicine is my specialty.
Okay, so if you go into the ER, God knows that ER is busy all the time. But if
Yep.
you happen to go into that ER, maybe Dr. LeClair, don't go in there just to see Dr. LeClair, but
I
she
want
might
to see
end up
Dr.
taking care of
LeClair, please.
you. Yeah, exactly.
I am. I always tell people, I hope not to see you there, but I'll be there with a smile. So
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And I was going to say, Audrey, this whole thing as far as ALS and your dad and what happened to him, and I know you've said many times you lost your best friend, but this inspired you to be a doctor, right? This whole with your dad, his battle and everything.
it did. I truly believe, had I not grown up kind of seeing the medical side of things, um, life might look a little different. But I knew that after he kind of went through everything he did, I was just enthralled with it all and was drawn to it and loved it. I think a lot of people thought that I'd probably go into neurology, but I just loved emergency medicine. I loved being kind of one of the first people that someone encountered on maybe the worst day of their life, and
Yeah.
just to kind of set the tone. And I love the fast pace, and so I kind of was drawn to emergency medicine, but his battle with ALS is definitely what introduced me and got me interested in medicine.
Audrey, and again, we'll dive more into Chris Johnson, but just wanted to ask you with your dad's battle with ALS, and you were inspired by the doctors around him to become a physician. You know, when you see people at the ER, you never want to cause panic. You never want to think the worst. I guess I don't know. You start off with the worst and work down, or start with the easiest thing and work up. I don't know how that's done, but knowing your dad experienced ALS and probably had symptoms early on that were pretty minor, does it lead you as an emergency medical doctor to take things maybe more serious than to go, oh, it's just a headache?
Sometimes it's always in the back of my mind. I definitely keep it in the back of my mind. And I always say that our job in the emergency department is to rule out life-threatening illnesses. And so I definitely keep it in my differential for sure.
Yeah, and I think that could be a positive. I think that somebody that had the personal experience you had beyond just learning. Everybody goes to medical school as a doctor, but you had that personal experience where I think could benefit you from, like you said, rule out anything major and take people serious. And we've all been to the ER and had good experiences, and we've had bad experiences. But when you go to the ER and you kind of feel like you're being dismissed, there's really nothing worse than that.
Yeah, it's tough for sure.
So, welcome in, Alan Vick. How's it going, Alan?
I'm good, Kyle. How are you? Sorry, I'm late.
Doing well. Dave, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, well, I was going to let you go ahead and take the lead.
Yeah, sure, no problem. And I know JR, I know you have questions. Well, I tell you what, guys, to make it easy, let's just do like a round robin. Each person ask a question, and that way, to be fair to Audrey and to be fair to the host.
So you want me to start it? I mean, I was waiting for the appropriate time, but it's just, I've talked to some people that give to March, Mustache March every year. And then when they heard the Chris Johnson news, they were like, man, what, this disease just it never quits. And are they making any advances at all? And I've done a little bit of research, but I don't know as much as you do, Audrey. Please, are there some advances being made in as far as ALS treatment is concerned?
Yes and no. It's kind of hard because 5 to 10% of cases are your genetic etiology. So even for my dad, he did have the SOD1 gene mutation, so had familial ALS, and I lost not only him, but I lost my grandmother and my aunt as well on that side. So we've experienced a lot of loss with ALS, even just past my dad. So as far as kind of the genetic side of things, they are kind of finding treatments that may target that gene mutation. But 90% of the cases are what they call sporadic, and they don't necessarily understand what's causing them. There's definitely been research into what is causing them. And I've always said I don't quite understand why it seems to hit necessarily the football community like it does. But it definitely seems kind of like your veterans and your football players kind of end up with those sporadic cases more. The first time the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge went around with Pete Frates, who was the Boston College baseball player, they raised like $200 million for ALS research, which was kind of the first time in history they'd ever had that much funding. So they're definitely working and they're looking. It's just hard because in 90% of cases, there's not a specific target that they can find yet.
Yeah, you talk about sporadic ALS, and you mentioned it hitting the football community, baseball community also. Your father, you mentioned the Boston College player, of course, Lou Gehrig. It seems to hit a lot of athletes. Do you have, I don't know, as a doctor, how you're, if you can just give your own personal theories, if that's okay. Do you have a theory on why it seems to affect athletes?
I don't. One of the things that I've always been curious about is there a link to concussions and head injuries, especially because it is a neurodegenerative disease. So I don't know if there is potentially a link there. Again, for my dad, it made sense. Like he had the gene mutation.
Right.
Could there have been other contributing factors? Quite possibly. So it is one of those things that I feel like someday somebody is going to find a link. I don't think that it's all coincidence, but for now, nothing, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Chris, in his interview, and I'm sorry I cannot think of the doctor's name, but Chris Johnson talked about he was working with a doctor. I don't know if anybody has her name.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. The one that worked with the guy from Grey's Anatomy, actually.
Yeah, and he talked about her as she mentioned, some experimental treatments, et cetera. Do you have any idea what those treatments would be, Audrey?
Honestly, I don't off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I read that, and once I get a few minutes, I'm going to look into it because I used to be really involved, especially with political advocacy for ALS prior to starting residency. I've kind of weaned off of it a little bit, but I do know that kind of a couple years ago, the big advancement was the FDA approval for the Right to Try Act. So basically saying that these experimental drugs did not need FDA approval, that these ALS patients could get access to drugs that were not FDA approved. So that was kind of a landmark case for ALS patients. So I definitely think that there are probably treatments and drugs out there that patients can now have access to.
That's great. I mean, it always, I've always kind of wondered when something is quote unquote terminal, why are we worried about FDA approval?
Right.
At this point, the person is fighting for their
You got to
life.
lose.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
that's good that was allowed. FDA makes some positive decisions sometimes. So I also wanted to, and I feel like I'm hogging the interview here, but I wanted to ask you, when you heard about Chris Johnson, when you heard about CJ and him being a Pirate, and again bringing it back to your dad, how was that for you personally? Did it bring back memories? I mean, just I read there's 30-some thousand people living with ALS right now, and we've been affected in the Pirate community on the athletic front, and I'm sure. I knew Catfish Hunter growing up, another former baseball player that was affected by ALS from northeastern North Carolina. But did it affect you personally when you heard about Chris Johnson? I mean, I just curious. I don't know a better way to word that question.
Yeah, it definitely did. Even though we moved away, we still followed ECU sports. So JD and I grew up watching him play football, especially JD. I think it was kind of a gloomy day in our household, even though we're all separate and apart. We all had a group chat and we're sharing it and we're shocked. And it's kind of one of those things that you just hate to see another family go through it because you know the hurt and you know how hard it is. And absolutely admire his outlook and his attitude and his positivity. It's truly inspiring. And even his regeneration of the ice bucket challenge, I love it. I've got to find a time to do it because I will do it and participate in it. And the hope is always that there is a cure that comes up because I know people are working on it, but it was definitely a dark day in our house when we heard about it.
No doubt. And Alan, I know you have a question.
I was just going to tell Audrey that Nelson Cooper was a very good friend of mine, and Marianne's a good friend of mine, and I got to know Nelson quite well through D.H. Conley football and some other things, and talk about an inspiration and a guy that put his ALS out there for good and raised awareness and money. The Coopers have done that as well as anybody over the last 10 years or so.
Absolutely, they have.
Stevie, I know you have a question or two.
Yeah, well, Kyle took one of my questions, but that's okay. But what about? I mean, I'm not sure with ALS. I know I guess there's different forms of it. How, looking at Eric Dane, his didn't seem like it progressed as fast as CJ's had. Is there different forms of it, that ALS?
There are in some ways. For some people, it's what they call a bulbar onset. So it kind of starts at the top. You get difficulty swallowing, chewing, speaking. And then a lot of times for other people, it starts from the bottom up. And I've actually seen both. A lot of people don't know this, but my dad came home on the ventilator and he was still walking. So he was pushing his ventilator and walking. So he had the bulbar onset. It started with the slurred speech. A lot of us didn't, recognize it, especially my mom, but now she watches videos back and it's like, man, his speech really changed. So his kind of progressed top down. And so it kind of hit his breathing muscles faster than it would people that it starts from the bottom and goes up. And then my grandmother, hers was bottom up. So she was still kind of eating and swallowing and chewing and speaking up until she lost her battle. So I've seen both sides. As far as progression, I think it just depends on the person. And I don't think it always makes sense. And I don't know that there's a specific rhyme or reason.
Without knowing the details of Chris's case, when you see Chris, you see he's not able to speak now on his own. He's using, I don't remember what your dad used. I know Chris is using something where his eyes are able to look at the screen and make him talk. And they actually recorded his voice, so it simulates his voice. So that's an advance in technology from when your dad had it. But when you see the way Chris has progressed, over a year's time, I'm trying to word this gently. Is that an indicator of how fast it will continue to progress, or can he get to a point where he stabilizes?
I truly don't know because I even look at like Stephen Hawking and I think he's a mystery too. So I think it's so individualized that you truly never know.
Yeah, he lived with her for what, 50, 60, a long time. So I mean,
I wanted to mention Steve Gleason, the guy that played for the New Orleans Saints, and he contracted ALS in 2011, and he's doing really great things down in New Orleans. And I know he's been speaking to Chris, but in 2015, he had the Steve Gleason Act passed, which it guarantees that Medicare will pay for like the eye gaze and any equipment that you would need to get through life as normal as possible. They have to pay for it. So, I mean, that's a good thing. And, he said something that really kind of touched me when he was talking about Chris. He said, he wants Chris to know that every person living with ALS, they have a story, a purpose, and a future that matters. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And you just said it, JR, living with ALS. I mean, Chris Johnson has not given up the fight. He's going to keep fighting. Surprised he just can't outrun it. Not about to make a joke, but
If
sometimes you got to
anybody
make
could,
hard
he
things.
would
Yeah,
be
no,
able to.
no
Four
kidding.
three speed. Yeah.
Yeah, I
By the
mean,
way,
go
yeah,
ahead.
let's get. Kenny says, Audrey, your dad was a great coach, and his legacy at East Carolina is being carried on with Coach Godwin and his players. Number 23 will always be in the hearts and minds of Pirate Nation forever.
I appreciate that. We were blessed with a good support system and an incredible community in Pirate Nation.
You know, the Ice Bucket Challenge is back. We talked about that. We'll talk about more later in the show, but ECU student body president has got involved and got other chapters, different ECU fraternities, et cetera, involved. So glad to see the current students, being involved with this. We have the Keep LeClair Classic every March to honor your dad. I think, you look for any positives you can out of a negative situation. I do think this will reunite ALS support amongst the pirate community. Would love to see somehow Chris Johnson and but maybe some kind of. Would love to see ECU have a more than just the tournament, more than just the Keep LeClair Classic, something to raise money on a regular basis. Kind of maybe using your dad and Chris Johnson together for East Carolina to raise more money for ALS and ALS awareness and research.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to kind of get the awareness out there
And we
would be
are,
awesome.
ECU is a research institution, and ECU Health
Mhm.
is a research. I mean, I don't know how much research is done by the university itself. Maybe, I don't. That's a very specific field. I don't know if that's something that, if any grants can be given to ECU to do more research themselves on ALS. I don't know. I don't know how all that works, Audrey. That would be more your area of expertise.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm not the research heavy one. I dabble in it occasionally, but
I got
I'm
you.
sure there's a way.
Yeah, but what would you? I mean, we do the Keith LeClair Classic, as I mentioned. What would you like to see done, if you have any ideas, by the ECU community for Chris Johnson, for your dad, for to raise money for ALS research?
I would honestly say just rally around Chris Johnson. I definitely participate in the Ice Bucket Challenge that he's kind of rejuvenated and brought back. I never thought in a million years that ECU baseball would still be having a tournament. We're so appreciative and grateful and appreciate everything they do with Mustache March. And I'm sure that people's wheels are turning, and I can't wait to support whatever they decide. But I don't know that I have a specific idea. I'm just ready to support however I can.
No doubt. And I'm sure with Pirate Nation, just like we have, well, like Kyle said, I'm sure there are ways that we can donate. Audrey, off the top of your head, are there local? There's local ALS chapters, right, that we could donate to, or people
Or national? Where's a good place to donate?
I think anything, the ALS Association. I have done a few things with ALS TDI, which goes towards research. For people in the Charlotte area, the Joe Martin ALS Foundation, they actually have a summer camp for kids whose parents and family members have ALS. So I think that's a great
That's
thing
awesome.
to donate to. I helped with their camps a couple of times and was like, man, I wish I had that when I was a kid. But just, I think my thing is anything that you donate to, as long as it's directly going towards ALS and ALS research, you can do no wrong.
You mentioned, the kids at the summer camp, and Chris Johnson has, I believe, 4 children. That's something you can identify with his kids. What is it like from a personal standpoint? Everybody's experience is different, but what must it be like, or what was it like for you, knowing, your dad and now Chris Johnson's children know their father, is sick with ALS? As a small child, it was probably hard for you to process at first.
It was, especially as a small kid and you're still developing. I think it just became a new normal for us. So things that other people may find abnormal, it was just a normal day in our house, like my brother and I fighting over who was going to feed him through his peg tube, or talking to him on the eye gaze. It all just became so normal. But I think I definitely was, more in tune. I'm 3 years older than JD. So for him, I think it was definitely a lot more confusing. There's a lot of changes, a lot of things, that go on. You definitely grow up faster. You become a little more independent because mom's not there to hold your hand the entire step of the way. Sometimes, you're getting yourself in bed because you can and she's busy. But just the support and dedication that even my mom had. And it seems that he has an incredible support system too. And I think that is one of the foundations that even as a kid, it gets you through is having
Yeah,
that strong foundation.
you mentioned, and I'm going to shut up after this. Anybody else get more questions in before Brandon Simmons joins us? You mentioned the eye gaze. Your dad used that to talk, just like Chris Johnson's doing. Chris was able to record his voice, and it kind of utilizes a voice that sounds like him. How much has that technology changed since your dad used it?
A lot. The computers are a lot smaller, so we used to not be able to travel with his. He had kind of a letter board that we would travel with. And then even he didn't have a customized voice. It was just kind of a random technology voice that was not his. So the fact that now they can customize it to the person's voice is incredible. The fact that it's mobile is even more awesome. That you can take it on the go and communicate wherever. So it is neat to see how far advancements have come in the technology realm.
Dave, will you put up Kenny Carlin's comment?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I was gonna. Kenny says we should try to organize the largest ice bucket challenge and have it at Dowdy Fickle. And I bet Pirate Nation would show up and also make it kind of fun. That's a great idea.
That's a good idea, Kenny.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you think about there's enough folks in Pirate Nation.
Let's do it at the 12 noon kickoff for the Appalachian State.
Exactly.
That'd be perfect for an ice bucket.
Ideal time.
I mean, it's going to be 90-some degrees probably
Exactly.
in September. Like Audrey, you know how these Septembers are here in
Yes.
North Carolina. Before we go, is there anything that you would like to challenge, I guess, Pirate Nation? I know that you're very soft-spoken and very kind, but I know that there's a lot of folks that we would love to be able to help out any way we can.
I just think keep being Pirate Nation. I truly believe that there's not another community or fan base like this in the country or in the world. Even to this day, like my family feels the support, and I have no doubt in my mind that Chris Johnson's family will feel the support of Pirate fans and Pirate Nation. I think that the compassion is unmatched. So I would just encourage everybody to participate in the Ice Bucket Challenge. Use his hashtag, support him, donate to associations if you can. Rally around him and just spread awareness because everybody's voice matters. So the more awareness we can get out there, I think the faster we eventually have a cure.
Audrey, thank you so much for your time. I know that you carved time out. It's just amazing what you're doing at East Carolina. For people just joining us, she's doing a residency with emergency medicine and, of course, was inspired by her dad with her dad's battle with ALS. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being back at ECU Health. We're glad to have you, and look forward to big things from you here in the near future.
No, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm blessed to be here. So.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thanks.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you, Audrey.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, as we transition now to a guy that he actually has his own podcast for a year. I think did we, Brandon, not joking around about CJ, but did we inspire you to start your show?
Yeah, you definitely helped to push my dream forward. So, and I appreciate you guys for that. So definitely yes.
Brandon, before we get into the Chris Johnson conversation, quickly promote your podcast and tell people what it's about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the name of my podcast is the Offseason 365 podcast, and the sole purpose of the podcast is to help high school coaches connect with other high school coaches. It started solely in North Carolina, but since then have expanded into different parts of the country. I mean, South Carolina, we got a good following in Texas, up the East Coast. And the ultimate goal is just to share stories, like-minded stories, and it's taken off. So This past year, I ended up growing it exclusively from YouTube to Spotify and Apple. Created a Facebook page and also have an X page as well. So very excited about it. But again, because of my conversations with you guys over the years, it definitely helped to push the narrative forward. And I'm not just saying that just to say that. I do mean that. So appreciate that.
Well, you've been very good to us from day one. I think you came on in 2018.
Yep.
So it's been a long time, over 8 years.
Over 8 years. Been a while.
Great relationship. I tell you what, Audrey was just saying that how great Pirate Nation is. I know you can talk about that, and we'll talk about Chris here in just a second, but we have the best. I say this all the time, and I know people may think I'm patronizing. I am not patronizing them. I'm literally truthful and sincere when I say we have the best fan base in all of college sports. I really believe that, and just want to get your take on that, and then we'll talk about Chris.
Yeah, I can echo that as well. Pirate Nation has always been good to me, and based off of the stories that I have with a number of my Pirate brothers over the years, Pirate Nation has been pretty consistent. What I appreciate most about Pirate Nation is, not just the support as a player, but once you move on and do other things, they do a great job of checking in and supporting anything you got going on. And they're very loyal and consistent and supportive. And the way it was explained to me as a player, through Coach Shank, Coach Host, et cetera, is that, Pirate Nation is willing to spend their last dollar to see you perform. So don't waste their time, don't waste their money, give your best effort, and everything else will take care of itself. But I can definitely attest to that.
Brandon, you got here in 06 or 07?
I got there in 06.
06. Okay. So you were here for, you experienced the 06 and 07 season with Chris Johnson. We're in the running back room with him. First, just talk about that. When you got here, you had to hear about Chris's speed. The best was yet to come. His 06 and then his 07 season were his best two here. But what were your thoughts the first time you saw Chris on the practice field with that speed?
Man, the first time that I saw him, I thought that he was exclusively a track and field athlete, and that's what I thought, right? I was just like, okay, hey man, who is this little guy? He can run, he wasn't really what you call like a cutter, like, changing directions, but he always had straight in line speed. So that's what my first reaction was, or my first impression was. But to watch his transition from, my first year to the next year was outstanding. And a lot of it is a testament to his hard work and his dedication, but most importantly, his coaching staffs. And what people don't know is that, Coach Junior Smith, he really did a good job of making sure we as a unit supported each other. Right. I mean, it's easy to get into the situation where, oh, well, he's playing more than me. Right. And to start, undermine, like, that's easy to get into. But us, we didn't do that, but we did know that, once one player was in, hey, there's a chance that he can get the hot hand. And when you got your opportunity, you had to make the most of it. So, but he was a great teammate. We all, we had a good time during those years. But in our running back room, we would have sitting around talking about stuff beyond just football. Those were some of the best times, definitely.
I had a question, Brandon. Obviously, the news broke last Monday with Chris, and we'll talk about his career too. But I just want to get your take before I forget. It's so easy to get in his career, and I want to talk about that. But how did you find out about his diagnosis? I know when he went on Good Morning America, but did you find out then, or did you know beforehand?
Yeah, so like most people, well, to answer your question directly, I found out when everyone else found out, and credit to his family for keeping everything so tight to the vest, because like we all know, we all been in media, it's easy to leak confidential information, sell it to TMZ, etc. So kudos to his family for keeping everything tight to the vest. But I remember like it was yesterday, I was, leaving the gym, feeling good, pulled out my phone, and the day before, not sure if you guys recall, but the day before there was a lot of highlights of him up there anyway, right? It was just, old highlights from the Hawaii Bowl, Memphis, all that good stuff. So I was like, yeah, man, I remember that. like it was yesterday. I got a front row seat. But so that's what I thought it was. But to, dig a little bit deeper, and then I saw Strahan talking, and then I saw him. I was like, hey, I know that guy. And I had to stop where I was in the parking lot to listen to it like everyone else. And, it was a surreal moment, and as soon as that got rolled out, that's when the texts and the calls started happening. People started texting, hey, man, what's going on, yada, yada, yada. But that's pretty much how it was. I found it just like everyone else. But because this hit so close to home, personally knowing them, having a relationship with them, blocking for them, breaking bread with them, it really hit close to home.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I want to welcome in Justin Bucks, Wildfire there. If you're wondering who that insane-looking person at the bottom of the screen is, Brandon.
I thought I was Black Beard of Power for a second. Like, hey, we in bad.
The resident football official. What's wrong, guys?
That's the official, Justin. But you may have yelled at him at some point. He's a high school football official there, Brandon.
Even better.
Or worse.
He may have thrown a flag.
Hey, it's all love with high school official. It's all love all the time. So yeah.
Not with Justin though. I've dealt with him before.
Brandon, we might need to move you because Stevie used to be he's retired now, football coach at Northeastern Academy, and Wildfire Justin Boats called some of his games over the years, and they still hash that out on our show. So we might need to move.
We got Brandon in, but Brandon's right in between. He'll keep them separated.
All good.
I got my money on Brandon against either one of those two.
There's the guest referee, right?
But Brady, you mentioned, Brandon, you mentioned the news hitting close to home when you found out about Chris, and teammates reaching out. What were I don't know if you want to give out personal information about what people said, but if you want to give it in a generic way, however personal you want to be, somebody like Dominique Lindsay, somebody else that was in the running back room with them like that, what were their comments and thoughts? I imagine everybody's just in shock.
Well, so yeah, and it literally started just hitting right consistent, people everywhere and all that good stuff, right? Comments, remarks. But Dominique specifically, Dominique called me, and the first thing we did was just, go down memory lane and catch up on all the good stuff. But after that, we just had a conversation, and the conversation was very good, and it's always, anytime I get a chance to hear from anyone that I was in the mud with, right, it's all love all the time. But it really hit close to home. And like myself, he was very, very shocked about the situation, and he was just reflecting on their time together in Tennessee. Like after ECU, Dominique had a brief stint in Tennessee with Chris.
About that.
Yeah, it was very brief, but he he had a stint with him as well, and then he just started talking about other things, right? The injuries, overtime, and all that good stuff. But he was very shocked as well. Like so many others, heard from my buddy, Fred Hicks, he was an offensive lineman, and the list goes on and on. But we was all shocked. And the number one question that we all had to each other is, where do we go from here? Like, what's next for us? And, we all agree that we'll do an even better job of, supporting each other, checking in with one another so that, we can truly make the most of this time that we do have together.
Yeah, you make a good point. You always want to take positive. You always want to look at a bad situation, take whatever positives you can from it. And you just mentioned one. It does make you realize that, people you haven't talked to. When's the last time you had talked to Dominique? When's the last time you had talked to Fred Hicks? Keeping in touch with everybody, because you don't know what's going on in everybody's life. And you never know when the last time you can talk to somebody is, or, anything like that. I mean, you can still talk to Chris, but he's having to use the eye. I just forgot the name of it, but the eye gaze to speak. So I mean, you can take positives away from a negative, and you guys, bringing you guys together, that's a good thing. Have you talked to any of your former teammates who have talked to Chris at this point?
So to be honest with you, the way it is right now, there's so much information. There's so many people contacting people all over, right? It's at times it's a little hard to get into contact with everyone. But I will say this, and I know that they're, him and his family, they're overwhelmed. Like whenever the NFL get behind it, which is what they're doing, that adds a whole nother level of communication. So, it's a bit of a challenge to try to get in contact with him, just because, and I'm sure that he's trying to respond as fast as he can, and his family as well. But, there's a lot of communication going on right now. And when he does respond to me or anyone else, of course, we'll be glad to hear from him. But right now, we just want to make sure that, he's getting all the support that he needs to, take that next step, so that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Yeah, we had earlier, she was talking about the 2014 ALS Ice Bucket Challenge raised $200 million. I knew it was a lot of money. I didn't know it was quite that much.
Mm-hmm.
We had Kenny Curlings mentioned a great idea to raise money for that, to have the biggest ice challenge ever at Dowdy Ficklin. Do you have any?
I love that idea.
I love that idea because getting Pirates together. And I tell you one thing, when you get Brandon, as you probably know, when the Pirate Club, when they want to raise a lot of money, what they do is they get a lot of big donors in one room because all of a sudden Brandon Simmons is giving $1 million and this person's giving $1 million and this person's giving $1 million.
That's a true statement.
The reason I brought that up is simply I think that would be a great way to raise money by having a lot of people in Pirate Nation all together and being able to raise money. I think would be great for ALS.
I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And again, I touched on it when I first hopped on, the primary difference between our fan base and other fan base is, we're more sticklers when it comes to our money because people are literally willing to give their last penny to help this program be successful. But when it comes to supporting our own, hey, that's not a problem. It would definitely happen. I mean, for example, look at how long it took for us to get the field house built, right? The indoor facility. It might have took longer than some programs, but it did happen, right? Expanded the stadium. Again, we wasn't the first to add to our stadium, but it did happen. So, it might not always happen the way we all want it to, but it will happen in time. But yeah, getting everyone on the same page, anytime there's a cause, I definitely know that, Pirate Nation will get behind it. And, that's a great idea. And I think that it should be more than just a one-time event, right? Make it, have multiple games, multiple meetings to help get behind it, but yeah, that's definitely great ideas.
Hey, just make sure it's not in November or December, right?
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of, talk about Ice Bucket Challenge, Brandon, have you and any of your teammates participated in that yet?
Well, the idea is definitely cooking up right now. And I'm pretty sure that a few of the buddies have tried to record themselves and they're still probably editing this, and all that good stuff. But it's definitely in the works, especially since, it's one of our brothers. The question is where do we find the ice water and the best angle to set the camera up so that you can
the TSO,
all that stuff, the editing and all that good stuff. You might have to hire like a creator out here, one of these young creators.
I got a broad idea. Bring Mr. Beast in and do a big old ice bucket, Mr. Beast.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. In 2014, I did the Ice Bucket Challenge and just had my wife record it with, I guess it was an iPhone 4 back then.
Right.
And just took a ice, bucket of ice, dumped it over my head with water, and then donated a little money to ALS. We're going to do it. We're going to do it as a sports objective. Every one of us need to do it. Yeah. And what we need to do, Dave and JR and Stevie and Justin and Alan and Matt, you're out there listening, another member of the broadcast crew. We all need to do it. And then we need to challenge other podcasts. We need to challenge the Boneyard podcast. Blackbeard's Alley with some dude named Bubba Rosenblum.
Some guy. I got a broad idea. I got a broad idea. When we go down to Alabama, we'll do it on that Friday night before the game.
There you go.
All of us down there. We'll do it right then.
Hey, let's challenge right now. Let's call out a challenge. You want a big fan base? Right now, for Chris Johnson and for Pirate Nation, You're going to kick our asses in Tuscaloosa. Clip this. You're going to kick our asses in Tuscaloosa. Bama Nation, Tide Nation, Roll Tide Brotherhood, whatever you call yourself. We are challenging the entire Bama Nation. Everybody in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Everybody says, "Roll Tide." all you redneck Bama fans, we're challenging you right now to do the Ice Bucket Challenge. And not only beat Pirate Nation on the field, beat us with the ALS Challenge. I bet y'all can't raise more money than us. See if you can.
Well, Kyle, I bet they would respond favorably, and maybe that would make you despise Tuscaloosa a little bit less. But they're football fans first. They love their Tide, but everybody admires Chris Johnson. I think they'd get behind it. I really do.
Did you guys see Pat McAfee do his?
Yes, he did.
$250 for the first 1,000 people to use CJ's hashtag. So,
nice.
Yeah.
He's grown on me over the years. At first, I was like, "What in the blank?"
McAfee's a character. He'll piss you off.
Brandon, you played against him, did you not?
Yeah, Virginia Tech. I think he was a kicker.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
Punter, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And kicker. He was a kicker.
Was he a kicker too? Okay.
Yeah, he was. He was more known as he punted in the NFL, but he kicked and punted in college.
I wanted to say something about Brandon, though. I know we're talking about Chris, and we'll get back to that. But, hey, when Chris left, it was your backfield. You took control, and that's the only time this century, your team in 2008 is the only time this century that the Pirates have won their first 3 games of the season. You all took down Virginia Tech, West Virginia, and Tulane. And no other Pirate team has been able to win their first 3 in this century. And we got to get something straight, Brandon. We got to get this fixed.
Oh, Lord.
No, we got to get this fixed. If you go to ECUPirates.com and you go to the stats in 2008,
Johnny Stats Robertson. Johnny Stats Robertson.
Yeah, you're going to see that in 2008, Leonard Polk, who was a redshirt freshman. I don't even think he was active. He was a DB.
Leonard Polk.
He scored 7 rushing touchdowns, and he scored 3 receiving touchdowns, and you didn't get off the bench. So we got to fix that because you were both number 25.
Yes, they were.
And they gave him credit for all your touchdowns. But don't feel bad because
he got all 4 of those touchdowns against UTEP. It wasn't Brandon.
No, it was not Brandon. It was Leonard Polk, even though he redshirted. Hey, don't feel bad because Dominic Davis, he didn't get in the game either in 2010 or 2011, and Dietrich Allen was credited with 62 touchdown passes and 14 rushing touchdowns.
We need to get Johnny stats and start showing to the stats.
So this is at ECUPirates.com, our official athletics.
I'll get to work behind that.
And I'm not trying to, but they need to fix it. I mean,
definitely.
Dominic Davis and Brandon deserve.
I wasn't I was not aware of that. I was not aware of that, but thanks for bringing that to my attention. That's crazy.
They'll be getting a phone call tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'll get to work behind the scenes on that.
Hey, but I have one more question for you, Brandon. So this season, 23 players changed their number. 19 of the 23 moved down, like they moved to a lower number, and you switched from 34 to 25. What is it, especially with skill position players? Why is there always the desire to get a lower number?
That's a great question. Everyone has their reasons. Well, for one, most people think that it looks better, like the single digit number. But the reason why I switched from 34 to 25, well, here's the story. So in high school, I was 33. My idol when I played running back was Walter Payton. So 34 was the number that I had. But the kicker was this. Pierre Bell, he was promised 34. So he and I both had 34 when I first got there. And because he was promised that number before I even joined the team, they ended up giving him that number. And what was left was, a few up, 20 number, 20s and all that good stuff. So I ended up selecting 25 because it just looked the best.
Well, that worked out well for you. You made it work.
Yeah, but 34 was the number that I initially wanted. because of Walter Payton, but he ended up working himself out though.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and we'll talk about obviously Chris as well, is we talk about it every time you're on, but I want to keep talking about it. 2008, 2009, back-to-back Conference USA champions. You guys are last team to win a championship in the conference. How confident, this is my question to you, being that you're the football guru expert. Lord, how confident are you that we have a chance to win an American title this year?
This year, well, to be honest with you, it's really going to boil down to the quarterback play. It's going to boil down to the quarterback play and how quickly we can replace the pieces that we lost on the defensive side. What I appreciate most about Blake Harrell and his staff is that he knows how to get the guys going. Every now and then you might have a slow start, but not really. So it really just depends on, replacing those defensive players, the edge rushers, et cetera, but most importantly, figuring out who the quarterback is going to be and just taking it one game at a time. Just looking at the polls, I want to say that, they're Memphis and a lot of those boys are ranked, pretty high and rightfully so. But the last time that we played Memphis, man, we won. So, we'll take it. We'll take it one game at a time. And once these rosters solidify, because, there's just so many moving parts. But once these rosters solidify or crystallize, I'll be able to have a better idea on where we stand.
And Brandon, by the way, I was going to tell you really quick, and I'm going to pass it to Kyle. You and I are going to be hanging out Saturday, December 5th, because we're going to be hosting a championship. That's a hot take, and I really believe in this team. I agree with you 1,000%. The quarterback play is definitely top priority. Look at our season in 2023. If you don't think a quarterback is important, and I'll pass it to Kyle.
Yeah, no, you talk about we're going to move back to Chris Johnson, but you talk about the preseason polls. Especially you look at Phil Steele actually has us pick 4th, as Memphis picked 6th. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on who you look at. I'm with you. Quarterback play, not only quarterback play, we got to replace. I think we did a really nice job in the portal on the offensive line, but still that offensive line is going to come together. Brand new receivers for the most part, with the exception of Brock Spalding and Petaway. You got pretty much a new running back room. Got some proven guys there. Got the kid from North Texas who showed what he can do down there. But all these pieces have got to come together as a unit. It's a new system. Defense, it's on 24/7 Sports, but we got a couple of guys that are vital to the secondary. I won't name names. You can go over there and look at Igo's site that may have gotten into a little trouble. If they don't get cleared to play, we're going to have some depth issues in the secondary. But I think this team has potential to compete for a conference championship. I think it also has the potential to go 6-6. It just depends on how fast that offense comes together.
Exactly.
You look at 23, it never came together. You look at 24, it took half the season and a coaching change for the offense to come together. New quarterbacks, new pieces. I mean, and then you go back to 2010 when Lincoln was here. We were scoring 50-some points game 1. So it just all depends. Sometimes a change just clicks like that. So I'm with you. I'm not so bullish to say we're going to play for a conference championship. I do think it's a possibility. It's going to be how fast we come together.
Yeah, and I can add on to that as well. While you was talking, I was just glancing at this schedule together, and compared to previous schedules, it's a very favorable schedule. I mean, obviously you open up against a very talented Alabama team, but after that, I mean, you have about 3 to 4. You have 3 to 4, games that can really go in our direction. But what I appreciate most about these teams, these Blake Harrell teams, is that the defense is always on point. For example, I look at their pressure packages and the way they cause turnovers, and the question is, how fast will our offense be able to turn on? But for the most part, our defense, since he's been, in control of it, our defense have been pretty consistent. And as long as your defense is on point, and if you could take the ball away, you tackle well, etc., you always give yourself a chance. But a lot of it, like you said, is going to be based off of the offensive side. And again, for me, the question is, who do we have at quarterback? A running back can play early. and be talented. And our offensive line can open holes, but the question is who's going to be spinning the skin?
Yeah, no doubt. I think we got two good guys competing for the job, but one of them's going to have to step up. And I'm with you on the defense. I think defense is going to be solid. I am worried about the secondary situation when some guys get in trouble, but hopefully that works itself out. Wanted to talk more about Chris Johnson. When we won't take up too much more of your time here, but what are some of your favorite memories from him? From games. I mean, obviously, to me, what comes to mind, the Hawaii Bowl, the North Carolina game. There's other games that also come to mind. But just what are your favorite memories of certain games that stick out watching Chris and playing with Chris? And then some behind-the-scenes stuff you remember about him, some things, some antics or whatever, what he was like behind the scenes.
Yeah, so I'll first start off with the on the field stuff and to be to watch him, how hard he worked throughout his career at ECU, again sharing the backfield with him, what was great to see how much time he put into the film room. And I touched on this a few days ago, but to see how much time he put into the film room, to see how much time he put onto the board, like, knowing how to draw blocking schemes up. And again, that's something that Coach Smith really made sure we understood what was the academic piece of football, right? Stuff that he used to tell us all the time is, hey, don't be a dumb jock. Like, that's what he used to always tell us. So he always challenged us to take care of business in the classroom. But most importantly, as far as football goes, pay attention to film, hang out with the offensive line, understand pass protections, understand where the ball is designed to hit on run game, right? But a lot of that stuff transitioned on the field. But the game that I remember the most, and it's a hidden game, but the game that I really remember the most was the Memphis game. His last year there. He rushed for like 300, 301, something like that. But he went crazy, and we ended up getting into a shootout with Memphis. We ended up winning like 56-40. But that's the game that I was like, okay, yeah, this cat's a little bit different. So after he went over 301 and we got into the shootout, the rest was history. And of course, everybody remembers him in the Hawaii game as well. But tremendous worker. Very strong for his body, lifting his weights, squat, bench press, but most importantly, he was a good guy. And I'll just touch on the hidden gems, the hidden behind the scenes stuff. So I already told the story about the plane ride when I first met him. We was on our way to the Naval Academy. This is when I first joined the team. So making friends, season over in 06, absolutely. But was on the plane, and like I said, he was to my right because he didn't want to sit near the window. Dominique was to my left, and again, the dude was sweating so hard because he didn't like to fly. And when that plane started rocking like this, I'm like in the middle, like, whoa. And he's just like, man, he looked sick. I was just like, man, you good, man? You making me nervous, right? Being a small town guy, from Newton Grove, so, but I remember that, I remember during the Miami Heat years, when this was before like LeBron got there, but this was like when D Wade was there, right? And they was running the show with him and Shaq. And I remember him specifically telling everybody, hey, the Miami Heat's going to win the NBA championship, and they did. But after that, anytime that we're at practice, he will always grin, with his gold grill and say, hey, man, let's work like Wade, what I'm saying, in his voice, right? We'll do that. And then lastly, him and Travis Williams, they were like BFFs, man. And, we will, play card games and dominoes, in the locker room. And anytime that them two got into it, man, like very competitive, it was always something to see, so, but, what I appreciate most about him is that, on the field, he'll turn it on, right? He'll take another step, but off the field, he was a funny guy. He liked to tell jokes. He liked to laugh. He had friends everywhere. And that's part of the reason why there's so many people, even right now, rallying behind him, because he, that's just the type of guy that he is. On the field, he knew how to turn it on, but off the field, he's just a good dude, so that's pretty, that's pretty much what it is when it comes to the CJ2K.
No doubt. And that's something that everybody can learn from is not to burn bridges. I know that he has, like you said, the reason why he has a lot of friends, and of course his family. I appreciate them, as you said earlier, rallying behind him. That is awesome, and I'm hopeful that something that's this bad, that we'll have something good to come from it. There's got to be some. I've been praying a lot about it because I remember him as a running back. He's one of the fastest players we've ever had. And talk about one thing, I wanted to ask you a question about this. If you wanted to stop Chris, you better stop him in the backfield, because when he got around the edge, when he was at the line of scrimmage, it just seemed like, and Johnny Stats, you can help me on this, but it seemed like that he would get like 6 to 8 yards before anybody really could touch him.
Well, what I wanted to ask Brandon was, Brandon, you were blessed because you got to witness, you were on the same team with not only Chris Johnson, but also Dwayne Harris. Now, two of the best, fastest and kick returners, probably two of the best kick returners we've had. And Alex Taylor wasn't bad either. But what is the difference, in your opinion, between the speed of Chris Johnson and the speed of Dwayne Harris?
Oh man, so they're analyzing them. This is like my scout glasses. They're two different styles. CJ, he's more of a slasher, elite speed, one cut runner. He developed what made him really dangerous is his ability to make people miss in space. If you look at his previous film, like, his freshman, sophomore year, he was more of a one cut runner. If he wanted to bounce everything outside. But his junior, senior year, he again started studying blocking scheme. So he learned how to make the cut up field right. But most importantly, when defenders are like in front of him, he knew how to break them down, make them miss, and then keep it moving, and that's what he was. Dwayne Harris, he was more of a balanced type athlete, where he was more strong than fast, and more strong than quick, right? And if you look at his film, no one can tackle him because his legs were so enormous. Like, his contact balance was fantastic, and his game breaking ability, like CJ, was definitely noticeable as well. But both of those runners, again, elite athletes, Hall of Famers, but their playing style was different because CJ was more, fast. That was his number one attribute, and then Dwayne, his vision, his contact balance, and quickness in space. That's what made them both dangerous.
And Brandon, and Donnie Kirkpatrick said that Dwayne Harris was his biggest recruit he ever had there at Pirate Nation. The best.
Yeah, so yeah, and again, Junior Smith, Junior Smith brought him on. Junior Smith is the one that discovered him down there in Georgia, and he was an option quarterback. But yeah, Coach Kirk, and what people don't know is Coach Kirkpatrick, he's been in this game for quite some time, Tennessee, Chattanooga, and all that good stuff. So he's seen some very good talent, and for him to speak so highly of Dwayne, I'm not surprised. I mean, he spent the most time with him than anyone else, because Coach Kirkpatrick, he was also the return coach, like kick return, punt return, right? So he coached wide receivers, but he also coached the returners. So we be back there catching punts, but to see Dwayne catch the ball so easily, right? To catch the kickoff so easily on the run. Oh, by the way, stopping on a dime, making people miss. Like, I'm not surprised that Coach Kirkpatrick also pointed that out as well.
Brandon, I told you we were going to keep it for 30 minutes. We got you a little over. So we'll wrap this up here as soon as have you got another minute? You need to go.
Oh, I got another minute.
Okay. I just wanted you guys talking about Dwayne Harris now. I know we're talking about Chris Johnson, and we are going to get back to Chris Johnson. But talk about Dwayne Harris kick returns. The one that sticks out in my mind the most, it was a kickoff return against SMU. I don't remember what year it was, but we lost to SMU in Dallas. It may have been 2008. But we lost that game. But Dwayne Harris had one of the damnedest kick returns I've ever seen in my life. We were down by 2 scores. That kick return cut it to 1. We ran out of time. I don't know if you remember that game or not, Brandon. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 08. You should remember it. Do you know the game I'm talking about? That kick return.
It was 09, Kyle.
Well, then Brandon was gone. He doesn't remember.
It was a
Well,
7-7.
so I saw it from the stands. I definitely know what you're talking about. I saw it from the stands, but
and he fielded that ball in like the 23 or like between the 20 and the 25.
It was just a total one-man effort. I mean, most of the time kick returns you could see blocking. No, Dwayne was determined to get us back in that game.
So and it's funny, it's funny that you mentioned this because you guys might not remember, maybe you do, but I knew Dwayne was going to be special because there was two particular plays when we played Virginia Tech, and we used to run a lot of fly sweeps and fast screens with him and with the jet sweeps, right? I mean, I was the lead blocker for him on the perimeter, responsible for, cutting the alley defender as they ran, right? And if I didn't do my job, coach would pull me out of the game, right? That's what Junior would say. But I knew he would be special. So I cut my defender and I rolled. He kept running. But I also saw Cam Chancellor and all them boys trying to tackle him, and they couldn't tackle him in space. The same one that, put on big numbers at the Legion of Boone in the NFL. I said, okay, yeah. This cat right here is going to be a little bit different. That's one play. But the second play that I knew he was going to be special, again, in the same game as whenever Patrick Pickney just threw like a little hitch route to him. He caught the ball. There was like two Virginia Tech defenders right there. He broke the tackle of one, spent off the other one, and kept running the sideline. I said, okay, yeah, say no more. We got a game breaker right here, So he was very instinctive. And, when his number was called, he made plays.
Yeah, Dwayne Harris was nuts, but I do want to quickly go around the horn here, and I think you already mentioned yours, Brandon. But if anybody got anything else, Brandon, get it in. But I want to quickly go around the horn and ask everybody's favorite Chris Johnson play, their favorite play they remember. Mine's going to be one that's going to be a forgotten play. You talk about Chris's performance against Memphis on the road, but my favorite Chris Johnson play is definitely a deep dive. 2005. Against the Rice Owls in Greenville. There was a play where I think we lined Chris up in the slot, if I remember right. And he goes over the middle and catches the ball. And as soon as he catches the ball within 5 seconds, there is not a Rice defender within 25 yards of him. I mean, it is the damnedest thing you'll see, just his straight down the middle speed. And I mean, it was insane. I was like, and it was early in his career. I'd seen him make a couple of big plays, but still, too, I'd love if anybody has. There's another game I'm asking for. I've been asking for the '97 Wake Forest game. I'm asking for the 05 Rice game. If anybody happens to have a copy of the 05 Rice game, or just could put that clip up on YouTube of Chris Johnson making that catch. I mean, I don't know if anybody else remembers that play, but he catches the ball over the middle, and it's the damnedest. I can't really do it justice describing it, but I mean, within 5 seconds, there's nobody within 25 yards of him. And it was a touchdown, obviously.
No
Guys,
doubt.
what you got? What's your favorite Chris Johnson play, JR?
Oh, I mean, boy, Kyle, I don't know. I'm going to have to go with another kick return, and the one against Southern Miss in Hattiesburg that we won in overtime. And that was just an incredible effort on his part. And it's like he took it into his own hands. Like, we're not going to lose this game. I think it was 96 yards. That was. I'd like to see that again.
Is that the 06 Southern Miss game?
Yep, sure is.
That game.
That was a night game too, Saturday night game.
Yes, parts of that game is on YouTube, and I believe I have that game on VHS, JR, so I can help you with that.
Oh wow!
So if I would have it say for mine, it's probably going to be the 68-yard touchdown run against Hawaii in Hawaii Bowl against Boise State.
I was just going to say literally that game because he literally put the team on his back. And
well, if you look at the stats from that game, 408 all-purpose yards, rushing 223 yards on 28 carries, 1 touchdown, receiving 32 yards, 3 catches, 1 touchdown, and 153 yards on 6 returns on kickoffs. That game.
There you go.
That game right there, 408 all-purpose yards, guys.
It's unreal. Stevie, you got a favorite Chris
Yeah,
Johnson
I mean,
play?
just like Dave said, that whole Boise State game, the Hawaii Bowl. I mean, he just perfect time to get ready for for the NFL. He went on the map and then gets to the combine, runs that 4.340, and the rest is history. I mean, he just exploded in that Hawaii Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, you got a favorite CJ
Yeah.
play?
Same here. I don't want to be repetitious, but Hawaii, I don't think there's anything that's ever going to top that, man. That was just that was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I got another one for you, Brandon. I'll remember this one. 2007 against UNC. I believe it was maybe the first play on offense for East Carolina. A little screen pass, Chris Johnson.
And we called that on Pinto.
Yards.
We called that Pinto too. Pinto right, Pinto left, but that play was Pinto right. So all of our screens, our slow screens, were named after slow cars. But yeah, Pinto.
How you gonna name anything with Chris Johnson?
Yeah, for sure. So Pinto, but yeah, that was on Pinto right, man, and he understand how to set that thing up, and as soon as he caught that thing behind it, like so the coaching point on that is, Coach Smith would tell us to, slow play at 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, stay behind the guard, right, the right guard. And as soon as the quarterback finds you, you catch the ball, stick your toe on the ground. And that's exactly what he did. He caught that ball, stuck his toe in the ground, and it was off to the races on the right side. So, but yeah, I remember that old Pinto screen, man.
I wish I could remember how many yards that play was. It was like 70-some yards.
It was 78 yards.
There you go. Johnny Stats. There you go.
Yeah. And it was important because they went, they scored right away, got that field goal. And not only did we answer, but, in a big way.
What we saying?
CSTV. If anybody remembers CSTV.
Oh, yeah. Now
CSTV. Yeah. CSTV. And I'll say this, so I already touched on the Memphis game. That was a gem, and everybody knows about the Hawaii game. But another game that CJ did his thing was in a Tulane game. At the end of the season. And the reason why that's significant is because, he was going head to head against Matt Forte.
I remember that game well.
Against Forte. And
I forgot about it.
He was going head to head against Matt Forte, and our defense did what they needed to do to shut down a first round running back, right? Or slow him down because, he still rushed for 120. But CJ, he did his thing, man, 155 rushing and, 85 catching, and the rest took care of itself, but yeah, man, one of the more enjoyable athletes that I've ever had a chance to break bread with. Definitely.
I remember that Tulane game, if I remember correctly, and I may be out of my mind on this. Nobody's going to look this up, so I'll just say it. I believe Forte, the previous two games, had ran for close to 200 yards.
Correct. Yes, you're correct.
So he was on fire,
yes,
and our defense did a great job shutting him. Well, not shutting him down, but keeping him in check.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ, and nothing against Matt Forte, great running back, but CJ showed who the real star was on the with the ball in his hand that day.
Yeah, because that year Matt Forte, he rushed for 2,000 yards, 2,100 yards, and again, people probably forgot, but at that time, at that particular time in Conference USA, we basically had three 2,000 yards rushers. I mean, obviously, you had CJ, right, with his combined yards, but we also had Kevin Smith. We also had Matt Forte. So, finding stellar running back play was not hard in Conference USA.
Now they would have all been transferred out by their senior year.
Oh, for sure.
Could you imagine how much money with Chris Johnson's speed would he have made his junior or senior year, in college, if he were today? Good God.
Good gosh. That ain't telling.
No telling.
Big money. Brandon, thank you so much, man, for your time. Before we go, I'm having to remember you're at Clayton now. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna be a Comet this season. This will be my first year at Clayton Comet. As a Clayton Comet, Scott Chadwick, he's our head football coach. He does a great job. I'm excited to not just work with the athletes, but also work with this coaching staff, so I'm very excited. The ride is not too far from where I live now. And, we're right now, we're on our dead period. So whenever you guys reached out about making an appearance, I said, okay, yeah, we can make this happen, because when we return from our dead period, which is next week, we're going to hit the ground running. But yeah, that's currently where I'm at. Like I already touched on the staff and touched on the talent, but most importantly, This program does a very good job of getting the athletes ready for life beyond playing high school football. There's a premium on developing character, high character young men. And we all know, at times people are developing, make mistakes, etc. But I'm very excited about contributing to this program, and I look forward to getting to work.
And I'm personally requesting a game at Clayton High School next year. 15-yard penalty to begin the game just for you.
Good Lord, Brandon, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Hey,
If he's calling a game.
Look, I'm talking about the Clayton program. I've actually had them over the years, last couple of years in the playoffs. Very good program over there, Clayton. They do a really good job. So, Brandon, you're going to do a great job over there.
Coach Chadwick, man, and again, it all starts with him. He does a good job of communicating the expectation. He's been coaching. He's been a head coach for quite some time, 25 plus years. He what people might not know, Drake May was his quarterback at Myers Park. He also spent time. He also spent time at Maryland on the collegiate level. And since he's been at Clayton, him and his coaches have been churning out a consistent 8 to 9 to 10 win seasons. And last year they played in the state championship as well, lost to a good Grimsley team. But like I said, he was looking for coaches, and we talked, and we have the same vision, the same plan, and I'm excited about getting this thing on the road.
Hey, Brandon, go ahead, Kyle.
Wow.
I was just going to ask Brandon real quick. You have a pretty good quarterback there, Demasio Cueto.
Demasio. Yeah. Well, it's all good because he had to correct me.
Okay, good. I feel better now.
Yeah, but yeah, he's a great guy to work with, and at the program, I work primarily with the quarterbacks, but any place that coach wants me to help at, I'll definitely lend a hand there. But yeah, I spend a lot of time with him and all the other quarterbacks as well. But he's very talented. He can put the ball anywhere, and I'm not exaggerating that. He could put the ball anywhere. But the main reason why the bigger schools aren't on him as much is because he's not as tall. He's more like a 5'10", 5'11", 5'10" type quarterback. But my quarterback in college wasn't that tall, and we won a lot of games in Patrick Pickney. So, he's a great guy, and all the quarterbacks in our program, they all work hard. They all like each other. So because of my experience on the college level, sharing the backfield with Dominic Lindsay, Chris Johnson, Norman Whitley, J.R. Rogers, that list goes on, right? But learning how to share, Brandon Frasher, shout out to him as well, but learning how to share with them has empowered me or given me the blueprint to help control like a talented quarterback room. And we do have a talented quarterback room, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he can spin it though.
So your quarterback's coach, that's your role at Clayton?
Say it again.
Your quarterback's coach, that's your role at Clayton?
Yes, absolutely. So Coach Chadwick, he, for many years he's worked with the quarterback, but this year, he's, allowing me to also assist with working with the quarterback. So him, and Coach Parker, he does a good job as well. And we're all in this thing together, but that's my primary position. But, the range, I can, help with the receivers if they need a coach, help with the running backs, obviously, help anywhere on the offensive side, so wherever he needs me to help at, recruiting, promotions, whatever, I'm comfortable with that.
So Brandon, you mentioned recruiting in high school sports. How big is the transfer portal or a high school transfer portal in high school sports? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm actually glad that you asked that question. It's very so the portal has definitely impacted high school recruiting. The conversation used to be, hey, look, the Power 4 schools are going to or G5 schools are going to come and develop you. That's no longer the case right now, and the coaches don't hide it. And to be honest with you, if you were in the positions of a college football coach, the question is, do you have enough time to develop a high school kid, or can you just take a transfer? More often than not, you're going to take the transfer player because they're bigger, faster, stronger athletes, right? But it has definitely impacted recruiting. But what we try to communicate to the guys is, hey, listen, go where they love you at, even if it's a smaller program. And since there's no guardrails right now with the recruiting right now, where everybody can go wherever they want, if you happen to go to the program and it doesn't work out for you for one reason or another, there won't be no penalty if you leave. Now, of course, we encourage them to stay wherever they sign. Make no mistake. But things are not the way they used to be, So, but yeah, recruiting is completely different, and those are the conversations that we have with any athlete from D1 through D3 or NAIA.
Well,
Yeah,
how do you see that, Brandon? And you see a lot of that now trickling down into the high school ranks. You see all these guys leaving let's say a Conley going to a Rose, or a Corneth Holders going to a Clayton. Do you see that happening a lot more now in high school sports than before?
Yeah, so with about that, I think a lot of that it really has to do more so with the parents than anything else, and because kids aren't, signing leases, right? They're not going to sign no lease. They're not going to put money down on a mortgage. Like, they're not doing that. The difference between now and yesteryear is that the parents are taking it upon themselves. They're going online. They're doing their research about the academic offerings. And because the misconception is that anytime that a kid goes to a new school, that is for academic athletic purposes only. Well, that's far from the truth. The reality is there's a lot of elite programs out there, but on the field, on the court, but don't offer a lot from a academic perspective.
Correct.
And that plays a part too, So I just think more now than ever before, parents are more knowledgeable about everything that the school offers, which is part of the reason why anytime that we have an open house, right, we encourage all parents to come out here and to speak to us teachers, because I'm a teacher as well, right? But speak to the teachers, and if it's a fit for you and your family, I mean, if y'all make that decision to remain, great. If you make that decision to go in a different direction, I mean, who are we to say, hey, like, that can't happen, right? And it's completely different from the way I was raised. I mean, I went to Hopton and I stayed at Hopton all my years, right? And I get it, but
the pride of Newton Grove.
Well, yeah, and I, I'm a proud Wildcat, right? I'm a proud Wildcat, but the difference is, I stayed at Hopton. Well, back then, I probably could have went to Clinton or went to a Union or a Lakewood or a Midway, right? But I stayed at one school, and that's just what it was. So
I would recommend going to Union, but that's another story there.
The Spartans, man.
Which, I mean, I went to Eastern Wayne, and I was more of a baseball player, but in the last 20 years, we've gone from being a state championship contender to can't win a game in 3 or 4 years, but it's the difference. And a lot of our guys from Eastern Wayne are transferring out to the ACOX or the Rosewoods or schools like that. And the biggest thing now is baseball wise. Yeah, we got a big old baseball academy here, so all our athletes here in Wayne County are transferring to this baseball academy. And they're trying to get to that Division I or the pro level. And a lot of these guys don't realize they're not going to make it there.
And that is why it has to be more than athletics. Like, that's just what it is. And again, my head coach, he does a good job of letting everyone on the staff know, hey, listen, we got our 10% of elite players that's going to play in college, no matter how it is. That's cool, right? But we also have our 80% that's not going to play. So, let's make sure that we take care of those guys and make sure they have a great experience. And, and then that 10% that's going to wander off, the goal is to try to get as many as those bottom 10% to the 80% so that you have a well-oiled machine, So, but that's the lens of what's going on right now in high school sports. And, I've been coaching high school sports now going on 16 seasons. That's crazy. Track and field as well. But that's the mindset that we as coaches in the high school levels have to get our young athletes to understand that there's more than just playing, right? We love to play, right? Yep. We love to play, we love to compete, but there's a life beyond playing, and we just have to make sure that we're coaching that up too.
Brandon, we told you 30 minutes. You've been on with us an hour. We will have the check in the mail. 2 more quick things, then we'll let you get out of here.
That's fine.
The Matt Semenza, our former East Carolina linebacker, colleague of the show, he'll be back with us during football season. He's had a question up here on the screen for a while now. He wants to get your thoughts on the new 5-on-5. He says roll. I'm assuming he means rule.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the rule, the five. So basically, what it means is you have 5 years of eligibility, and that's just what it is. There's no more red shirting and all that good stuff. Like you have 5 seasons, and that's it. So what you choose to do with that, that's completely on you. But once it's over, it's over, and that's important because the biggest handicap right now with the high school kids is that the college athletes are staying in college much longer, and we're talking about like 24, 25-year-olds with 3 to 4 years of eligibility going against 18, 19-year-olds. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a grown man versus a young developing man, and that's what that's doing. That's getting the aged out of athletes on the Division I level off of Division I. But I've also spent time in Division II, and in Division II, that wasn't the case then. I mean, when I was at Elizabeth City, I had a few teammates that were 25, 26, 27 years old, and the reason why that was the case is because at Division II, your years are your years, and the clock stops. But in Division I, as soon as you graduate, that clock starts. And that's why the older players were in Division II as opposed to D1.
It's going to be good for high schools. I think it'll help high school recruiting.
Great for it's going to help tremendously to get the older, more developed player moved on so that these younger players can get back in the door and do what they need to do.
And if we close it out, would you just give your final thoughts on Chris Johnson and his current situation with ALS, and what words would you want to leave us with about Chris?
Yeah. So make no mistakes about it. CJ, he's a brother of ours, brother of mine, and we're all in this thing at the same time. We all have each other's back, and for anyone who's listening, make sure that you do your best to donate to the cause. And so let's take this thing one day at a time. No need to jump to conclusions, and everybody's situation is different, right? There's people that are in, that were in, worse situations, and there's some that's in better situations, and it's a very serious disease. But let's take this thing one day at a time. Don't jump to conclusions. Keep the main thing, and let's keep doing right by each other, by supporting each other, and most importantly, supporting him as well.
All right. Host of the Offseason 365 podcast and quarterbacks coach at Clayton High School, Brandon Simmons. Man, thank you so much for your time. You're the best, and maybe we have you back during football season if possible, if we can, to talk some Pirates and obviously see how things are going with Clayton.
Absolutely. Appreciate you for having me on, and I'll leave it with this right here. My off season are pretty busy. And I made a statement on Facebook. I mean, the podcast is keeping me busy, like you guys said. I also have my own training business as well. Been doing that since 2019. Dynasty Athletic Performance, and lastly, just trying to keep everything prioritized so that I can continue to support you guys, but most importantly, continue to support ECU football. So thank you for having me. Keep in contact with me, and if I'm available to hop on at least for a little bit, we'll definitely make it happen. Appreciate it. Make it happen.
Hey, Brandon,
for the extra 30.
Maybe Dave and I will catch up with you at Pirate Walk like we did last year.
Yeah, it was good to see y'all, man. For real, good to see y'all.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Brandon.
All right, man. Y'all have a good night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
The very accommodating Brandon Simmons.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
Yeah, he's one of the best, man. He's been with us, like with Kyle and I. He's been with us for a long, long time.
2018, the first Pirate Nostalgia Party. In summer of 2018, Brandon was there, and along with a number of other people. And Brandon's always a class act, good interview. Somebody that loves East Carolina, loves football in general, and loves to develop kids and players. Brandon's a good dude. Yes, I was saying, there you go. Brandon's a good dude all around.
Hey, Brandon.
And Alan, and
yeah, I was gonna
Justin
say
just
Brandon
ran off
checked out,
together.
which means Alan has to
Alan
sign
checked.
Alan's back.
Alan had to leave when Brandon left.
Yeah, that happens every time somebody comes in or goes out for whatever reason. I don't
We got
know.
Wildfire back.
Maybe he's got the same issue going on, but yeah, no. So we got off topic there a little bit with Brandon, but we knew we were going to. But the focus of this podcast is not supposed to be about Chris Johnson, and we talked about Chris quite a bit with Brandon, and talked to him, about Chris with Audrey. I don't really know how much more can be said about the situation. It's a horrible situation.
Agreed.
Chris dealing with ALS, and I really love Kenny's idea of doing a ice bucket challenge, the largest ice bucket challenge in the world at Dowdy-Ficklen. We need to run that up the ladder, as so to speak, and get it to Gilbert and see if we can make that happen. I mean, that is a tremendous idea. And just think about how much money can be raised by that. But I think hopefully it would lift the spirits of Chris to see Pirate Nation come out there in large numbers at Dowdy-Ficklen and do an ice bucket challenge in his honor.
Hey, can I add something to that, Kyle?
Like that, yeah.
I would like to add something to that. You know what would even be better than that? I mean, Kenny's idea was brilliant. But I'm just going to try to improve upon it after he came out with that idea, is if everybody or a lot of people were wearing Chris Johnson jerseys, which you can't find, if ECU would re-release the Chris Johnson jersey and maybe let the proceeds go
to ALS. Yes, I thought about that also.
I would buy 2 of them. I swear I would.
I thought about the same thing the other day. They should do that.
Idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea, and sell them at the games also, not just at UBE and the student store. But that's
man.
Yeah, there's so many things you could do, and that is an ongoing one right there. It wouldn't have the visual kind of
Somebody use the bathroom.
Apparently, someone flushed the toilet. It wouldn't have the visual appeal as a massive ice bucket challenge at Dowdy-Ficklen, but in terms of an ongoing fundraiser and something that's simple to do, release that Chris Johnson football jersey with the proceeds.
We'll wear it to the ice bucket challenge, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Great idea, Johnny and Kenny. Whatever we can do to raise money, and also, guys, to add to, I'll add another thing too. We can do. You know how they have the QR codes. Why not have a QR code where we could raise money for ALS at a football game on the scoreboard?
Well, Dave, I was thinking something. Maybe we put the QR code on the back of like the Queen Anne.
There you go.
Maybe we could do something with the Queen Anne, like when we're going down the highway. Yeah, you scan a QR code, donate some money to ALS. Yeah, I mean,
let's do it.
Is that something you guys would have to get ECU's approval for, or is that something you guys just can do, Justin?
I would assume. Now, I don't hold me to it. I would think we could just do it. I mean, that's. But then again,
do it.
I don't think. I mean, I don't want to say we can do it, and we can't. But I wouldn't see where that would be an issue.
I can't imagine you being told no if you did have to get permission. That'd be a bad look. That'd be a
really bad look.
Park their stuff beside the road, and
Who in the world would say no to that, though?
I don't think we would have a problem with the guys. Like I said, I think that's a great idea. Something we could do. Just something I've been thinking about over the weekend is what can we do? Because the Queen Anne is a big visual of the school. It's like a traveling billboard.
I was getting ready to say a billboard. That's exactly right.
I mean, it's pretty much a traveling billboard for the school. So what can we do from our perspective to raise awareness for this disease?
Yeah.
So that's just something that I've thought about over the weekend, and like I said, we're gonna come up with something ourselves from the Queen Anne's perspective.
I mean, is Chris okay? Financially, is he okay? Like, is he? I'm sure he's doing fine. But
I would think so.
I would too.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking maybe. I mean, if he needed some help, raise money for him, But I don't think I think he's probably a pretty good
But
situation.
I would think that, or what about his kids? Maybe like raise the
Well,
scholarship for
exactly.
his kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, Justin, and that's the lines I was thinking along.
I would say, Reach, what needs to be done for terms of the school, not so much from any individual, but from the school's perspective, is reach out to Chris and his family or whoever's representing Chris and his family
And
and see
I'm
where they would want the money to go.
and I'm pretty sure that is going to be talked about. I mean, it's got
Yeah.
to be. I mean, that's
And
got to be.
and I would bet you money, and this is just me purely speculating, but Chris Johnson raising awareness for ALS. The biggest thing he has is his name. And I bet you down the road at some point, hopefully sooner than later. I know Chris is dealing with his own battle, but there's a reason he went public with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Chris Johnson Foundation coming down the line for ALS research. I don't know that for a fact, but would not surprise me. But in the meantime and in between time, I would suggest ECU contact whoever's representing Chris and ask where he would want that money to go, and then let's get on the ball with making more organized fundraisers, ice bucket challenges, as they are for individuals or for Pirate Club or for student body presidents or for NFL players. They're great, but we need an organized effort as a fundraiser for Chris Johnson by the university, and I'm sure that's coming.
It's coming. I think there's some stuff in some works. I mean, it's going to take. I mean, obviously this news happened last Monday. So it's going to take a couple weeks to probably get something in, but I'm sure there's already been talks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anybody heard a public statement from Skip Holtz on this situation?
I
No,
haven't seen anything.
no.
And I'd be interested to see. Hopefully Skip is going to be part of a lot of help for Chris or whatever is going on.
Yeah, and Shank Weiler, Shank was there, and Shank's still here. He was there with Chris. Would probably be somebody else good to talk to about this.
Rick
And I'm
Smith.
sure,
Donnie Kirkpatrick.
Rick was there. Rick was coaching on the other side of the ball, but Rick was there with him during that time. He was.
I would like to hear from Donnie K on some of this. See what his thoughts
Donnie.
are.
And Rick is somebody I thought about getting on. Beth is a nurse at my doctor, so his daughter Beth, Rick Smith's daughter. So I ran into her, and I actually talked to Beth about this Monday, and asked if she had talked to her dad about it yet, and she had not at that point. And so Rick is somebody we can definitely get on to talk about it or to talk about whatever. But then Donnie Kirkpatrick would be good too. It affects so many people. Anybody who played with him, anybody who coached with him, it affects us, and all we did was watch him. You feel like it's not to sound corny, but you feel like it's a family member that got diagnosed with it.
Yeah.
Maybe not an immediate family member, but an extended family member, and you're genuinely concerned and hate to see it. I mean, so nothing but love, prayers, and I'm not the most religious person, but I'll quote a little bit of scripture here. There's a verse in the Bible that says all things work for good.
Yes.
And so there's got to be good that becomes of this.
Yeah,
No doubt. And we'll keep praying for his family, keep praying for a miracle, a cure for ALS, because a guy like Chris Johnson, who's done a lot of good and a great Pirate, man, it's just so hard to imagine that, that is now affecting him. And you think about, they're kind of like our football players and athletes are like our heroes. And the last thing you want to see is somebody like Chris Johnson, who meant so much to so many, to go down like that as far as ALS. And now I'm happy to see his positivity towards being the situation he is. I think that's an inspiration for a lot of people, and maybe people that have just been diagnosed with ALS. Maybe they have a family that has ALS right now, or a friend. It helps out a lot.
yeah. Hey, Kyle, you mentioned Coach Shank. Wasn't his son? Didn't he play fullback for Chris? Like in
Court, you talking about Court Shankweiler?
Yeah, Court
Yeah.
would have been here. Yes,
Played at
correct.
Green
Yes.
Rose.
yeah, I think he was there for a couple of years. I think 5 and 6 maybe, or at least.
He was there for 5 years. He was there when my brother was playing at baseball. My brother.
No, I'm
Brett.
saying I think he was with Chris for at least 1 year, but I think maybe 2. But
believe you're right. I'd have to look. But
Cord is probably he graduated in my brother's year, so he's probably about 2 years because Brett was there in 2007, 2008.
okay.
So yeah, because
Well,
Chris is
if he
39.
graduated at the same time your brother, if he graduated 07, 08, then he was probably with Chris his whole career.
Well, see, my brother actually he started out at UNC Charlotte for 2 years.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
my brother played baseball at Charlotte for 2 years before transferring. He played for Lauren Hibbs at Charlotte. Transferred his sophomore year, redshirted his sophomore year, transferred into Pitt Community College and played a year his redshirted sophomore year at Pitt, and then played East Carolina his senior year.
Wow.
He actually had a few classes with Chris Johnson at East Carolina, and it's not appropriate I say there's some stuff I'll talk off air, but we'll just talk about that off air.
No, that's interesting though, Justin. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
But yeah, Chris Johnson's a great dude. I mean, he was like I said, he was good friends with my brother, and like I said, great guy. I mean, just a great guy, and it just sucks, man, because I looked up to him. Chris is 39 years old. I'm 35, so I mean, it kind of puts your life in perspective. Like this could happen to me at any time.
Anyone.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at Keith LeClair was about my age when he got this diagnosis. So I mean, at any time, I mean, it could happen to anybody, guys. I mean, it puts your life into perspective a lot.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I discovered by researching ALS was completely mind-numbing to me. That all these people that we're discussing were struck at a relatively young age. The prime time of ALS contraction is between the age of 55 and 75.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it just makes me think that there's more to it with the sports connection.
Yep.
There's got to be.
And I just feel like there's got to be.
Yeah, I think there is too. And Keith, it was genetic with him, but
good point.
But would it have occurred later in life, like Audrey's grandmother, Keith's mom? It occurred much later in life, if I'm not mistaken. Would it have occurred that early? I don't know. The theory of concussion related. I've wondered if it's just something where you overuse your muscles, and I don't know how ALS works.
Or is it the chemicals they spray on the field? I mean, I don't know.
That's a good question, but you go all the way back to Lou Gehrig, and there probably weren't a lot of chemicals back then. But we are certainly not the ones to figure it out, but it's certainly worth speculating on. I don't know. It's what we do know is we need more research. We need more money for research. So we should have had Audrey. Go back and listen to the show, guys. Audrey gave us some good places to donate. So yeah, go back and if you're listening now and you're listening live and you missed the beginning, go back and listen to Audrey, and she'll tell you some good places to go donate money. But give as much money as you can to ALS research, and let's find a cure. I mean, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Maybe we can put that up on social media, like the links to where people can give money.
And the good thing is, look, like Audrey said, a law was passed by the FDA where experimental treatments can be given to ALS patients without any kind of FDA involvement. So you know what, cure can be found tomorrow, and it can be given to patients on a trial basis the next day. So you never know how close you are to a cure until it happens. It could, you're being a dreamer, but it could happen this year.
Oh yeah.
So you could be a long ways away, and suddenly that one thing gets found, boom, is cured. Or at least manageable. We look in, not to make a comparison, but it just comes to mind, and I'll look at AIDS, and you hear AIDS. Oh my God, why would you bring that up? But AIDS just a few years ago was a death sentence. HIV was a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case anymore. They haven't cured it, but it ain't a death sentence anymore. And hopefully we can get there with ALS. Maybe it's not a cure, but maybe it's just not a death sentence anymore.
Yeah. Polio back in the day, same thing. I mean,
Yep.
Oh yeah. With Jonas Salk with a.
I mean, hell, you go far enough back. I mean,
this is a little more complex, I'm sure, than polio, but still.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's but the point is, polio or AIDS or or
right.
the bubonic plague.
It's never going to get figured
Yeah.
out if we don't research and try to, develop some type of
And
cures.
people don't realize the plague is still out there. It just doesn't kill people anymore because you can get treated for it.
Right.
Think about how many millions of people got killed by the flu.
Yeah,
Just the basic
Or even,
flu.
you even talk about COVID. I mean, think about COVID.
Yep. And now COVID's nothing more than the flu, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had COVID and the flu this past year, and I would say the flu hit me way harder than COVID.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'll tell you, I've been blessed. I traveled a lot during COVID on cruises and going places. I never got COVID. Now my parents and my ex-wife did, but
You probably have the antibody naturally. Some people do.
God bless my soul. Then.
All right,
Jessica's never had it. Jessica has never. I've had COVID 3 times. Jessica's never had it, and so
I've never had it. I never got the shot either. So I mean, I don't want to get political, but that wasn't my reason. I just never got the shot. And
well, the only reason why I got the shot is so I can go on a cruise. That's about the only reason why I got it.
No, I'm not. Believe me, Justin. Everybody's got reasons. I just decided not to do it.
I was the same way. I got the shot because I wanted to go to concerts. Because they were like, oh, if you don't have a, then I wish I hadn't have, but got the shot.
I agree, Kyle.
But Jessica got the shot also, and she's never had COVID, and she hadn't had any major health problems since. So who knows?
We have a question. Is that Butte?
I would like to see that. Cole to Connor Hodge.
Yeah.
That would be on the Kentucky connection.
Yeah.
Let's hope not this year.
No, not this
Maybe
year.
A couple years.
No, well, the question was asked about Cole. Cole actually got in I think was playing basketball in the off season.
Yeah.
Something like that happened
last year.
And so that it has nothing to do with his ability. It has to do with the fact he was injured, unfortunately, in the off season. And so he's had to battle his way back from that. But I hear good things about him.
I thought he made some good throws in the spring game.
Boy,
but one to Quarterman, he threw on a go route. He threw a perfect pass to Quarterman.
But if we had to rely on Cole Hodge this year, there's been a major disaster.
No.
Exactly.
No.
You're right, Kyle.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
He's a future, not the right now.
Well, the good thing is we sit here now, guys. Football season is next month.
That is correct, as I posted on my Facebook page.
High school football's around the corner, guys. As well.
Hey, I was gonna talk to Brandon. Clayton beat Conley last year in the playoffs and ended our season at Clayton. High school football starts August 21st, so we're even closer to that.
Alan, you talk about that. I mean, look, high school football, and even I coach high school soccer. I mean, we're starting practice July 31st, and our first scrimmage is August 1st. So I mean, look, we got workouts. We've been working out for the last month, but Brandon was talking about the dead period. We come off the dead period tomorrow. Look, we got practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. So the season's here. Yeah. We got 3 weeks. We got 3 weeks of preseason workouts, and then the season starts July 31st.
Wow.
And
hey, Alan, who does D.H. Connolly open up with?
I have not seen a 2026 schedule yet. Okay. I imagine it probably this week it'll be posted.
D.H. Connolly has their first scrimmage August the 7th.
Yep. Usually I get it's around the second week in July when I get a
there is 2 weeks. High school football scrimmages are 2 weeks. Our first for soccer, I think our first game is August the 11th. But we have a jamboree scheduled with Spring Creek High School August the 1st. So pretty much we start practice July 31st, and then our first scrimmage is August 1st. So I mean the season's here.
Yeah, Conley always scrimmages with Tarboro every year too. So
yep.
We open up. I'm just looking at it now, going to Laney on the 21st.
That's gonna be a big. That's gonna be big.
Yeah, that's a long ride, man. I hope Buddy Medlin and Steve Gilmore will come back this year so we can all ride together.
I've been to Laney one time in my 15 years of officiating football. I do not like that drive down there.
That's home of Michael Jordan, by the way.
Yeah, and looking at the schedule, it was just released, as a matter of fact.
Speaking of Michael Jordan,
we go to Farmville Central again this year, which is cool.
Clayton High School.
Yeah, I know. And I was saying, speaking of Michael Jordan, I
You got a new vehicle.
I bought it from Michael Jordan Nissan. But I just want to say this about Michael Jordan Nissan. Great trade allowances. They gave me way more for my trades than the other dealership I was given to. But the biggest pain in the ass people I've ever dealt with in my life. Like I say, great trade allowance, and they did everything they said they were going to. But I've never had a car deal take so long in my damn life. Part of that was their fault. Part of that was credit union's fault. But I wanted to kill everybody when I left that dealership. But I'll give the negative to the positive.
Kyle's fault.
Two questions, Kyle. I have two
Yeah.
questions for you.
Sure.
Do they charge like a processing fee? Because that's
Doc,
complete.
I'll tell you what. Here's another. I got so frustrated. Okay, so quick story, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. Unless anybody else got anything, I'm gonna get out of here. I got to go back to work tomorrow, first time in 6 weeks. But so we went to look at a truck. It was a 2024. We wanted to downsize from 2 vehicles into one. We had a 23 Frontier Pro X and a Jeep 2016 Jeep Renegade, and we wanted the 2 payments. Didn't need one. We just needed 1 vehicle. Don't know why I did that, but so anyway, we wanted to downsize into one, save a little money. So we went to go look at a used 2024 Ram 1500 Warlock. Got there, looked at it. First, didn't like the numbers they gave me. Then I showed them some numbers from another dealership. Then I love the numbers they gave me. So that already irritated me. Don't play games. Give me your best numbers to begin with. Then we decided we weren't sure if we wanted it. And I was like, well, we like our Frontier. Let's test drive your top of the line Nissan Frontier Pro 4X with the premium package. And we decided, well, we like it. Let's see what the numbers are. Well, I don't even remember looking at the paper now with the breakdown of a doc fee and a dealership fee and anything, because I saw the final number and I saw what they gave me in my trade, and I was like, all right, this is a good number. I didn't like their financing option, so I ended up going through the credit union and financing it myself, and got good numbers for them. But anyway, to answer your question, did they charge any kind of weird dealer fees? Yes. They had everybody does that bullshit now, and I know, JR, you're kind of in that business.
Yeah.
But where they do add-ons to a vehicle that you could get yourself aftermarket a lot cheaper. And and I was about to try to talk them out of it, because I normally always talk my way out of that crap. If they'll say it's already on the vehicle, I'll say, well, just take it off. I don't need the crappy ass tint on the front windows. But with their package, they actually gave you a lifetime, as long as you have the car, powertrain warranty. And the Nissan powertrain warranty is only 3 years. So being theirs came with a lifetime powertrain warranty, I did not try to talk my way out of it. Everybody with their stupid add-ons would throw in a powertrain warranty. People probably wouldn't try to talk their way out of them. But so yeah, there's a long answer to your question.
Okay,
there.
very good. So you got a Nissan now. You did not get the Warlock.
I did not get the Ram Warlock. I stuck with Nissan. I had a Nissan 23 Nissan Frontier Pro X and a 2016 Jeep Renegade.
Was the Warlock black?
It was.
Yeah.
No. It was dark gray. Just like the Nissan 26 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X we got is dark gray. Yeah. But
you shouldn't have told them you were an Isaiah Thomas fan when you walked in there. That's why you got the treatment like you did.
I actually told them at the end. I said, "Man, if y'all next damn car dealer should take me this long, I'm going to Scottie Pippen Nissan."
Oh, well, that would have been all right with that. If you said Isaiah Thomas, you might have got a few looks.
And I was just going with different Bulls players. I threw out Dennis Rodman Toyota, and it is like I say. I'll give them positive. Be an honest review, man. Like I say. I like their trade allowance. I like my out-the-door price on the truck because I had some negative equity with both of my vehicles, to be honest with you. So I like the out-the-door price I got. But getting there was a pain in the ass. I'll just tell you that.
Well, here's the most important question, though, Kyle, to figure out if you made a good choice or not. How are the dogs? Do they approve of the new ride?
Oh, they haven't been in it yet.
They haven't been in it yet.
No, Jessica loves that it's leather, because she is a stickler for vacuuming up dog hair. So obviously dog hair is a lot easier to get off leather than this cloth. So she loves that aspect of it. But they haven't been in it yet. They will at some point. And they like the other Frontier. They should like this one. And
okay,
that's another thing, JR. We're way off topic here, but you got a TRD Pro Tacoma. and
Correct.
great trucks. And yours is what year?
It's a 17 with
Got it.
200,000 miles on
Got
it.
that V6 in it, baby. See,
Yep,
what
I
are
got
you
a
going to
V6.
do now when you're ready to trade that in? Are
I'm
you
gonna
going to?
I'm gonna get killed because of the mileage, and it's been in an accident.
But what I'm asking you is, there's no V6 anymore in the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro.
I know,
It's the
or
four-cylinder
yeah.
turbo. Are you going to go with that, or are you?
No, I'm going with the Chevrolet. I'll go back to. I've always had a full size Chevrolet my whole life.
Man,
I just got the
mid-size,
Tacoma because of the gas mileage to Greenville.
mid-size to
The
me,
best truck is a Ford F-250. I'm just
Get out of
saying.
here! No way! I will
no.
never drive a Ford.
Mid,
Ford Platinum, baby.
I love mid-size trucks. To me, full-size trucks are mid-size trucks with 4x4 packages like the Pro 4X and like the CRD Pro. To me, are the coolest damn trucks out there.
What are you talking about? Like the Colorado then?
Colorado with their four-wheel drive package, yes, because you can
Okay.
go. There are so many places you can go with a heavy-duty four-wheel drive package on a mid-size truck that you could not go on a full-size truck. It's just a fact. I mean, a mid-size four-wheel drive truck with a off-road package will outperform a full-size truck with an off-road package any day. If you're just talking about going through the swamps or going over rocks or in the sand, any day. The only advantage to me of the full-size truck is the room, and then if you want to pull something, and we ain't pulling shit.
All right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, all thing I pull is my
Clip that.
boat and stuff, so that's the only thing I got to think about. So
Thank you, Alan. All right, let's go around the horn one more time. And if you have anything, by the way, for all the World Cup fans out there, England is up 2-1 at halftime over Mexico.
In the words of Jerry Lee Lewis, England
Okay, so
is
they-
speaking of
They
the
will
World
play
Cup,
Denmark.
Dave, did you see where the guy
North.
that got the red card in the last game for Team
yes,
USA?
he informed
Donald
us.
Trump.
Yes, he informed us today. They're going to let him play. Yeah.
Trump done won it again.
I'm not getting political, but that's exactly what happened.
Bingo.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. It is.
Yeah.
Whether you like it, don't like. I mean, I don't care. But
As a official, he deserved to be sitting out a game. Just my opinion.
I don't think so.
Ooh,
I
I don't
think
agree,
so.
Justin.
That was a terrible call.
There you
And
go. Well, there you go, Dave.
No,
Donald Trump.
Does
Dave,
that
how about
tell you everything you need to know about Justin Butts right there? That is official. Yeah.
Hey,
was a terrible.
He has got that BS line that all the officials say. I don't have to worry about it no more because I'm not coaching. I can say whatever I want to about the officials.
Hey, let me
well, from a coach's perspective, because I coach soccer, that was a bullshit foul.
And Justin, I've watched over 22 minutes of World Cup soccer, and that was a bad call.
Look,
that is 22 minutes more than me.
JR, and I coach soccer.
The United States.
Now, from a coaching perspective, Stevie, I'm to cuss the referees out.
My daughter's husband and his dad have been in the U.S. His dad's come from Venezuela. They are huge World Cup fans. I've watched more World Cup soccer in the last 2 weeks than I have in my entire adult life.
Oh, I have too, just so I can tell my players about it.
I'll tell you what, I got into the Stanley Cup and I love it. I will not get into the World Cup.
Well,
one cup is enough for me.
And no offense to the soccer fans out there, but
one cup.
I forgot what show. I don't know if it was Triumph, the insult comic dog or something. He was sitting there saying, he said, I was watching this.
Triumph, the insult comic dog. He used to be a regular on Conan.
Yeah, I was watching the practice for the World Cup game going on. I've been watching it for like 20 minutes, and somebody informed me that's not practice, that's the actual game. They were warming up. That's the actual game.
Well, I think what it is that people were raised to like hate soccer. And then also the fact that one of the things that I've noticed about the United States is only the really wealthy play it. So there's like that class, like I'm better than you. We need more athletes in fact, Martin County has a few hundred play soccer every year. In fact, I think if you're under 30, under 40, that you don't have a bias against soccer. I think it's for the middle-aged.
I got a question.
Wayne County, same thing.
I got a question for Dave. Okay.
Okay.
So you like soccer. Okay. and this isn't about soccer. I just want to know, because I've often wondered this about you. So this is a great day. This is for anybody else that's wondered this about Dave.
Oh,
No,
Lord,
it's
here
not a
we
bad
go.
question. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Okay.
I wouldn't ask it on the air if it was bad. Give me two things that are entertainment, sports or music or movies or television. Give me, just in general entertainment. Give me two things you don't like.
I'm not a fan of UFC.
All right. But was that before or after the political involvement?
Yeah.
That was way before. I'm a
Why
boxer.
don't you like MMA?
I'm a boxing guy. I just prefer boxing.
Okay. So you don't like MMA, and what would be another thing?
Oh man. I mean, off the top of my head, you talking
Doesn't
about
have to be
sports?
sports.
I know a couple of people he doesn't like.
Wow, everybody's got people. I'm just talking about things.
I don't like. We talked about this before. Music wise, I do not like Michael Bolton at all.
Oh, nobody likes Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. I can handle some Michael Bolton songs. Not
Alan Vick likes Michael Bolton. There we go.
Yes.
Got one. We got one.
It's not. So I know what his point was. He thinks that I like everything. That's not
Yes,
true.
yes. I do think you like everything. So
Love
we got
is wonderful.
UFC, I do find interesting. That is interesting. Michael Bolton, or MMA, shouldn't just say UFC. MMA, I find that interesting that you don't like MMA. Michael Bolton, no, that doesn't surprise me. Nobody likes Michael Bolton.
No, it's just like certain like things. Like I'm just not. Into
You
him,
like
but
tennis? You like tennis? I know you like tennis. Do you like golf?
yes,
What about broccoli?
I actually do like broccoli.
I like broccoli too.
Liver. Yeah. Liver.
I love chicken livers. Fried chicken livers.
Yeah.
Are my favorite
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Yeah, we're going to Wilson. to
Yeah,
test
the
it.
livers and gizzards, or as I call it half the
Yeah.
time, lizards and gizzards.
We're going there.
Yeah, Al knows the old KFC here in Williamston used to have chicken livers, and
What about K-pop? Do you like K-pop?
no,
There we go. We got something else. There you go. That's not like K-pop.
no, not really.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not that I just what I do instead of like focusing on the things I don't like, I just focus on the things that I like.
I think it's fun.
What
I
about
think it's
spicy food, Dave? How do you weigh in there?
I like it with a little bit of I would say a little bit of a kick I'm good with. If it's to the point where it's so spicy you can't really taste anything, if that makes any sense, then I'm not.
Sure.
I'm
But I do
interested
like a
with.
little kick.
I'm interesting with spicy food. I love spicy food.
Me too.
But if it has a throat burn instead of a mouth burn, JR, you probably know what that means.
Yeah,
That's what I said. You'll probably know what that means.
Yeah.
I will get the hiccups. It's not that I don't like it. I will start hiccuping.
Well, I'll tell you
like
what. If you
like
guys
nothing
like
you've ever seen in your life.
Food, if you like spicy food, when we go to Tuscaloosa, we'll go to Hattie B's Chicken, and we'll do the shut the clock up.
You shut the clock up.
Hey, Justin, right after we go to Harry's bar and get a paint bucket.
Harry's balls. What?
Harry's bar and get a paint bucket. They've got like 15 different liquors in there.
I
Serve
want
it
that.
in an
That's
actual
what it is.
paint bucket.
I'm getting a call that the show's been canceled, but
And then after that, you could eat anything and not care after you've had a paint bucket.
I'm still getting over Kyle's joke from I guess what 4 months ago now concerning what nationality. What did we?
Yeah. What was it?
I don't even remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, remember you sent out.
You don't remember the next day you got the email?
Yeah.
You got the email?
Oh, I don't remember what it was about, but I created the fake email. It scared the crap out of Alan Vick.
Yeah,
I
for
remember that
about
now.
30 seconds, I got a little nervous. I will admit.
I got scared as crap, dude. I'm like, oh, here goes my
Justin got scared.
contract with East Carolina.
I didn't say nothing. That was the first thing Justin said. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah. Justin said that's the first thing I didn't say.
He was the one that said, what about the ones that didn't say anything over here?
I don't even remember what it was about, but I do remember going to ChatGPT and creating the fake email.
Yeah.
So whatever it was about, we'll say for a different time.
it was
guys,
yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, we got off top. We've gone on for over 2 hours. We want to wrap this up, and I'll pass it over to Dave. But I just want to say, again, everybody donate. Whatever, again, go back and listen to earlier in the show before we got all chaotic and off track. Listen to Audrey, listen to Brandon. But Audrey tells you some great ALS charities to donate to, from your traditional ALS research foundations to there's a camp for children of parents with ALS out in Charlotte. So go back, get those charities, donate to them, And everybody keep Chris Johnson in your thoughts and prayers.
All right, quick, Alan, you got anything?
I just wanted to wish everybody a belated happy 4th of July. Hope everybody had a good weekend, and I enjoyed it.
All right, Stevie?
Yeah, same here, guys. Do the ice bucket challenge. Everybody on here needs to do it. So I'm challenging all 5 of you guys already. So
All right.
we need to get that online.
I'm in.
I'll throw in an extra $100 if Kyle goes tarps off.
Oh,
please.
Give me another 6 months, and I'll take you up on that.
He's in training. He's going to eat lightning and crap
Hey,
thunder.
baby, let me tell you something. I'll say it right here live on the air, and I'm going to keep it. I got to keep it up because, the more I say it on the air, more people are going to expect it. But you might be able to look at me and tell it, because, I'm still a fat dude. But I've gone from in May, I was 372 pounds. I am 342 pounds. That's 30 pounds as we sit here tonight.
Hey, congratulations, Kyle.
Good.
Look, I was this time last year, I was probably 240. I am down to 192 myself.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Jesus Christ. Congratulations, Wildfire. I can't think of your name. Justin, on the weight loss. And, I'm 6 foot, big bone dude. I just want to get to 250. Just get me to 250, and I'll be farting through it.
Like I said, if I could hover around 185, that would be my goal. Because
What's your height?
Justin?
I'm 5'7".
Yeah, okay. There's a big difference there.
So if I was, my brother and my dad are like 6'3", 6'4", so if I had their height, I'd be fine. But since I'm short and fat and ugly, it's
well, can't do nothing about the ugly. But
I can't do nothing about that. But like I said,
nah, I'm messing with you, dude. You're a handsome man. I'm legally
I got a
blind.
final
Remember
comment
that.
to make.
Okay, go ahead.
JR.
All right, I would like to thank Kyle and Dave, or whoever was responsible. That tandem of guests was outstanding tonight, and I felt like they were the combination of those two was just.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying it was. I don't know if it was Kyle or Dave or both, but
it was both.
Thank you, because that was a great lineup tonight.
I would say that was probably the 2 best guests we've had on in a long time. That was really, really good. Really good stuff.
Well, we appreciate it, guys. Me and Dave both worked on getting Audrey. I contacted her on Facebook, and Dave contacted her via email or text. And then I reached out to Brandon. I was thinking about reaching out to Rick Smith, and then I was like, Brandon was in the running back room with Chris, so I reached out to Brandon. But it was a combined effort with me and Dave, and hope everybody else enjoyed it. I know we've got off track here, and that's okay. The sentiment of the show was for Chris Johnson and ALS research, and first half of the show we certainly focused on that.
And we had the biggest crowd we've had in months, so thank you so much for that. I'll tell you guys, you've probably seen me update our viewers and how many people are going to listen, I'm sure, but we'll definitely try to get this podcast out to everyone. A lot of message boards.
You know what, Dave? That's because people love Chris Johnson. They love him. They hate to see another Pirate, stricken like that. Strucken, that's not a word. Stricken. So thank you to everybody watching, and thank you for everybody that supports the show.
Chris Johnson was a guy, growing up similar age to me. Just grew up when I was in high school watching him play at East Carolina, being the same age as my brother. And so I looked up to Chris Johnson a lot as a player.
All right.
So, it sucks, but, it's life. We got to move on, and just pray for Chris Johnson, man. That's just, it sucks. It really hits home, for especially for me.
Definitely in Pirate Nation and everybody that has ALS that listens or watches our show. We're thinking about you. We're praying for your family and PJ's family, but we'll keep you guys up to date. And like I said, maybe Kyle, we can get that up on social media for you to be checking the next few days about how you can donate to ALS. We'll be back. Go ahead, but Kyle, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll definitely have information on where you can donate posted on our social media. I'll try to get it up tomorrow.
All right. Well, everybody, hope you have a great week. We'll see you back next Sunday night. If it's Sunday night, it's TSO. Good night, everybody. As always, go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.